What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers? Today, I'm gonna talk nerdy to you. That's because we're gonna be talking about Star Wars, specifically the guns of Star Wars, specifically the guns of the new Star Wars Disney Plus show, Andor.
For the greater good, call it what you will.
You may have already heard about this because there's been some controversy around that. Now, it's super rare to see mainstream news covering guns that are used in TV shows or movies because, well, let's be honest, the people who usually give a shit about that are only us gun nerds. But that is exactly what happened when Disney released the trailer for the new Star Wars show, Andor.
We've chosen a side. We're fighting against the dark.
There were articles on Newsweek, New York Post, Express.uk, Fox Business, all talking about one thing in particular about the guns used on the show. It's an AK-47. It's flat out an AK-47. Proving in a galaxy far, far away, there is a space Russia and a space Kalashnikov. Now, it is pretty obvious this is just a sci-fi'd up AK, but people were fucking pissed for some reason. Like, genuinely upset. So we're gonna be talking about those guns a little bit today, but first, this is not that weird for Star Wars. As I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, the Stormtrooper's Blastech E11 is actually just a British Sterling submachine gun. Like mowing the lawn. Han Solo's pistol is really just a C96 broom handle Mauser. Hell, the Stormtroopers even use a basically unmodified MG34, that one up there, as their light machine gun or whatever it is in the first Star Wars movie. So let's stop pretending that this is new for Star Wars, okay? We are going to talk a little bit about those AKs, what they are, what was kind of modified on them, and some of the other stuff. But first we're going to talk about speeders. Not the Star Wars kind, the real kind. The kind that we were messing around with out in Utah thanks to CF Moto, who is the sponsor of this video and who we'd like to thank for helping keep the lights on. They have really cool side-by-sides, motorcycles, that sort of thing, so if you'd like to check them out, go ahead and click the links down in the description and in the pinned comment. We'd like to thank them for supporting the channel. Now let's talk about these space AKs. So as you can see here in this photo, our rebel partisan group is clearly using AKs. In fact, this isn't the only one. Pretty much every gun that these guys have here at their camp, every rifle, seems to be AK. And they all seem to be modified basically the same exact way. They've just basically cloned the setup. You could say they're about to fight a clone war. The base of this gun is very clearly an AK underfolder, or technically the AKMS. It includes an underfolding stock, which we never see unfolded, so who knows if the Space AK actually has an underfolding stock or if that's just decoration. But you could very clearly tell this is just an AK that they've mocked up, they've used an AK as the base here, from that stock to the curve of the magazine, even though they've done some interesting ribs there on the side to try to make it look a little bit sci-fi, I guess. That selector's AK, that cutout in the dust cover is AK there to have room for the selector. The furniture and that entire barrel assembly really that's where it really seals the deal that this is, just a fucking base AK that they've done some shit to. But one thing a lot of people got wrong on this is that it was just an AK and it was not modified in any way, because this is absolutely modified. In fact, it seems to be a mix of a couple of guns here. Specifically, like the rear sight block all the way back to the end of the dust cover is totally different. So here I have an original Type 1 Russian AK-47 to kind of demonstrate, and this is where you can see we have our underfolding stock, like so. So this just folds up here on the bottom. Voila, I'm in the new Andor show. Now if you compare this one to the one on the show, you can tell from here to here, kind of all the way up, dust cover up, is completely different. And I have a theory as to what they did, or at least what they're kind of going for. It's not 100%, but it looks like they tried to make this up here kind of blend together with like an MP40, which is this, the German World War II submachine gun, of course. As you can see, this one is also an underfolding stock setup, but the real interesting part is the tube that is the receiver. Now there's a little bit of a variation there. It might be a different submachine gun, something like that, but this is the one that came to mind that was kind of closest in my head. That end cap is a little different on the one on the show. That could be a prop, that could be a different SMG, hard to say. If you do happen to recognize it, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. But you even see where the rear sight block would be on this AK. They've kind of got the ejection port of an MP40 or similar submachine gun there in its place. Which is kind of funny because the ejection port on the AK is right there using the charging handle, and the ejection port is up here, right there on the rear sight block. So the way they have this gun set up looks like it might eject twice. I don't really know what that's about. I guess we'll know soon if we ever get to see them fire these guns, because frankly the show is getting a little slow. Totally agree with the critical drinker on this one. I am enjoying it. Disney, just please do not fuck this up. With your Star Wars track record, you could really use this win. While we're talking about guns in the show, let's go ahead and talk about the fact that Cassian Andor himself has a new piece in the show. Or rather, an old piece, since this is technically a prequel. You can actually see it here on the poster for the show. Of course, it seems to be some sort of revolver with a weird, like, Blade Runner kind of thing going on over the barrel to, again, give it that sci-fi look. Barrel shroud aside, though, you can definitely still see that revolver cylinder there in the rear. This is, of course, still more sci-fi looking than his original blaster in Rogue One, which, if you don't recall, was literally just an AR-15 upper and a lower. No buffer tube, no barrel, just a 10-round magazine and a muzzle device where the barrel should be. Now, a lot of people are saying that the prop departments are just getting lazy and putting the bare minimum into these guns nowadays. Could that be the case? Absolutely. To me, I find it a little charming, somehow. It just brings Star Wars back to its original roots, which is as a kind of a low-budget movie, all things considered for the time. They couldn't really afford to have an expensive prop department build all of these crazy guns from scratch. So they used what was cheap and what was on hand, and they just kind of made it work. It's what they did for all the original Star Wars movies, and at this point, it would be a little weird if they changed it. I don't know, personally, I'm cool with it. What do you guys think? Does this come off as a little bit lazy, or is this perfectly within the realm of Star Wars? Leave your opinions down in the comments. And while you're at it, if you'd like to see a full video just on the guns of Star Wars and just kind of comparing them to their real-life counterparts and what were used as props in the movies, go ahead and let me know as well. Totally down to get a little nerdy every now and again. I also have some content coming up in the next week or so that you're really gonna want to stick around for, so without spoiling anything, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. You're not going to want to miss it. I will say it's a guest that we've been wanting to get on the channel for a very, very long time. As for this video, I just felt like I needed to weigh in on it, considering this is the first time that the mainstream media has been talking about the guns of a movie or TV show, specifically even relating to AKs, which I'm all about. So a lot of you guys have been sending me in screenshots and stuff like that to say talk about it, so here we are. I listened to you guys. Anyhow, that pretty much wraps this up. Nice quick video, in, out. I appreciate you guys watching to the end, and as always, I'll see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top. But I can't, you can stop.